Hello everyone, today I am going to be making a new video about Welt. Now, I've had Welt since the absolute start of my journey in Honkai Star Rail. He was actually my first ever 5-star, and I really like him for that reason. Just because he has like some attachment value to me, as well as his playstyle is amazing. I might be a little biased, but I don't really think so, because Welt is an amazing debuffer, an amazing character overall. And so yeah, I've had him for a while now. I think, yep, he was in my first ever temple in the game. I did rerolls because I'm a meta slave. So yeah, either way, let's get started and go onwards with the video. As I'll be doing this, I'll be doing my daily commissions to just get those out of the way. And now, what I like about Welt the most is, as you'll be seeing in bits right over here, that he is an amazing debuffer. What are his debuffs? Welt basically does slowness. His debuff is it slows the enemy, giving them less turns than you. Now, this might not seem very amazing, but in a turn-based, as I've learned, since this is basically my only other turn-based besides like Pokemon that I play, this seems to be very amazing. Now, I might be a beginner, but this might take. The more turns you have is more DPS, like in action games. The more DPS is, the faster you can clear runs, the faster you can do bosses, and just overall damage. That is basically what you try to achieve in a basically optimized turn-based game, I'd feel, as you really lower the speed at which you need to do dailies or everything else that you want to do. Now, this is my main team comp that I go through the game with, is basically Sealy, Welt, Bronya, and Natasha. Natasha is just there for the heals. I might replace her with Luocha later on, but who knows. I don't really use her much besides in like hard fights. Sealy is obviously the main DPS. After that is Bronya, which basically gives the speed buffs to Sealy, and then Welt basically slows the other enemies, giving me even more turns and allowing Sealy to use even more of that turn to do more damage. Now, I'll be showing some of Welt's talents and skills and basic attacks, as well as traces in a bit, after I complete this battle. But yeah, that's my main team comp. Welt can go with others as well, and I've heard that Welt can also be a main DPS. I'm still not super far into the game, like endgame, and I still haven't done a lot of stuff, but I'll be sure to be doing that. And when I have the time, I'm going to try to build the DPS Welt build, and his damage is pretty okay. Especially, he is extremely useful as of right now, as he's the only imaginary character that's going to be changed, with the Luocha coming. Now, Welt's basically, where is it? Skills? Yep. His ultimate deals imaginary damage equal to 102%. Okay, that doesn't matter. That's get increased with levels of Welt's attack to all enemies with a 100% base chance of enemies getting hit by its ability to be imprisoned for 1 turn. Imprisoned enemies have their actions delayed by 33% and speed reduced by 10%. Now, if you don't know, the turns that you get are based on your actions and basically speed. So the lower your speed is, the harder it is to get a turn. If the enemy is faster, he's going to get maybe like 2 turns, while you get 1. And the actions is basically if an action that's like number 2 from all 3 actions. If your speed gets delayed by 33% and the other action is only slower by like 20%, then you're going to go later than the third guy, after you get your actions delayed. This in turn gives you, like, for example, like 2 extra turns, 1 extra turn against your enemy, which is extremely useful. And I'm sorry if I'm not explaining this quite clearly. It's kind of hard to explain, but yeah, basically you get more turns while your enemy gets less turns. That's the basis of it. Next is his talent. When hitting an enemy that is already slowed, well, these additional imaginary damage. Basically, it makes it slower. He uses his ultimate and his skill. Basically, after they're slowed, he deals additional damage. His skill deals imaginary damage equal to a percentage of Welt's attack to a single enemy, and further deals damage to extra turn with each time dealing imaginary damage equal to a percentage of Welt's attack to a random enemy. On hit, there's a base chance to reduce the enemy's speed by 10% for 2 turns. This is absolutely amazing. Basically, it's his ultimate, but he doesn't ensnare them, just lowers their speed, which is already amazing. It basically does bulk of the ultimate. Next thing is the basic attack. Basically deals some imaginary damage to the enemy, to a single enemy though. His skill does to more than one enemy. Okay, I have this light cone on him. It basically gives the where it hits an enemy, and if the hit enemy is not already ensnared, then there's 60% chance to ensnare the hit enemy. Ensnares enemies defense decrease by 12% for one turns. This is Lucas. I feel a 4-star that's going to be coming in 1.2. I already made a video about him. Check it out in the description. I feel like this is going to be his best in slot, as he's Annihility as well. But we're just going to have to see. I'm making a video out of him because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be getting him, as I'm going to be wishing Kafka, and he might be on Kafka's banner. Next are his traces. His ultimate just increases the damage he does, as well as his actions that are delayed. Yep, it increases actions delayed. Next is his basic attack, increases the base damage he does, his skill, as well as his talents. And yeah, that's basically most of his things. His bonus abilities, using ultimate additionally regenerates 10 energy. Basically, you can use his ultimate faster, which is pretty nice. Punishment deals 20% more damage to enemies inflicted with weakness break. If you don't know, Welt can do quite a bit of weakness break, especially to imaginary weak opponents. Most of those, to be honest, since you can't really break shields without having your elements super effective against us, unless you have Silver Wolf, which I think she does give the enemy a weakness of your type. And the last one is, when casting an ultimate, there's a 100% base chance to increase the damage received by the targets by 12% for 2 turns, which is pretty nice. And yep, and the relics I currently have on is a Musketeer of Wildweed and Talia, Kingdom of Banditry. Now, I would also suggest using Thief of Shooting Meteor to increase the break effect if you really want like the other early comp, but this is currently what I mainly use. And it increases like Welt's speed by 6% and basic attack damage, and it's basically like a mid set. Like, I feel like the Musketeer of Wildweed is a set that's normal for everybody. Everybody can use it, and it's pretty okay for Welt as well. Gives him a bit more turns sometimes. When the enemy is just a tiny bit faster than him, he can actually outspeed him, and the extra damage is pretty good. Now, my 2 pieces is basically the break effect, which I said earlier. He needs, for the second effect, he needs 145 speed. I'm not really using that because he's not going to be able to achieve that. As you can see, it's nowhere near, but the 16% break effect is still pretty good. I do not have any Eidolons on him, and that's perfectly fine. I don't really feel like he needs any of his Eidolons. And yeah, that's basically what my Welt can do, and I'm thinking of actually not using this break effect anymore a bit later on in the game, as I feel like at the end game you don't really need the break effect. You mostly need that attack power and those buffs or debuffs that they give. Break effect is probably going to lose most if it affects late game, as most characters can probably at late game break through with just brute force. And yeah, that's basically all there is to this video. Until next time, there's not much content, and I'm trying to find out what to do, but I can't really do much because I don't have a lot of characters built, with me not being a whale. And yeah, I'll be trying to make a few guides here and there until the new update comes out, as it's pretty dry right now in the last days. But yeah, like, comment, and subscribe if you liked the video. Until next time, have a great day or night.